everyone, Jamie Pate here. Welcome to the channel. Today I am really excited to share this tag mini idea with you. It's not a brand new idea by any means, but I will tell you, I had someone request me sharing this in a tutorial, so that's what we're going to do today. Are you ready? Let's go. Okay, so on my table today is one of several tag minis that I have created here. This is such a great expression of storytelling, but yet creativity, yet just in kind of a unique, non-traditional way. And we don't do everything traditional on this channel now, do we? So let me walk through this with you for a moment. I just want to get you an idea of what you have in store today, and I hope that you hang with us the whole time and watch how this comes together. Like I said, this is not anything unique. As a matter of fact, I'm going to link SBC Fest too, because Paige Evans shares several ideas for tag minis, if you will. It's not necessarily tags, but they're mini albums. And so I just loved how she just kind of expounded on an idea. And so to start, this one uses a vellum die cut that I'll show you how to do this. And the theme of all this are our clusters. Now I'm going to link this video down below too, because we've recently unpacked Cluster Embellishments 101, right? And we've got more to share about that. But just take those ideas when you're adding to each of these tags. Now, for the most part, I did use the ScrapbookCom nested tag die. This one here is with acetate and a stenciled pattern. I'll share that with you. And then basically the tags just are of different and varying sizes. Not necessarily like a descending order or anything, just different sizes. So then there's just this whole different peeking through here of the different layers, which I hope you all love to do. I know I do. And so here again with another acetate tag, and we're going to make those today. Another tag, you kind of just see a real theme here. Once you kind of get down to what, number one, photos you want to use, and then number two, what tag sizes you want to use, then it's just all play and creativity after that. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is talk about how I'm going to be crafting this, meaning what products am I bringing into this? Because I do get a lot of questions about what I'm using. I grabbed this Bo Bunny Brighton several weeks ago, and I've just been kind of hoarding it because I kind of knew I'm going to be making a gift for my mom, and it's her birthday this month. And so I've grabbed, I think I have 6 patterns of the Brighton that I've grabbed. Maybe there's more. It might be 8 patterns. And I'm going to be using these. I kind of stayed with sort of the same palette. I did throw in this blue stripe. I think May is blue. I don't know why. May is actually navy blue to me. I have no idea why. Another fun thing that I've kind of been hoarding as well is this is also Bo Bunny. And this here is the papery. And I just actually pulled from that collection and the things I'm pretty sure I'm going to be using. There's like these ticket kind of things and big words and labels and small words and some background pieces. There's some, I'm going to use this for kind of like matting some of the photos. And also there is this clear sticker pack, and that's what you're seeing over here. And I have used this already. I don't even know where I used it, but these literally are clear stickers. They're so beautiful. And we need to get them into focus here. And so when you take them off, they can go flat on your background, right? But I've been doing a lot of the adhering to vellum or adhering to acetate because I love the whole clear vibe going on there. Okay, that first vellum page tag, I'm going to be using this slimline tag set for that. I have some of these old definitions. I think that's from Sun Chaser that I'm going to be using. I for sure am going to be using this Vicky Bouton pattern too, because I want to use these tickets for some clustering pieces too. We've talked about that already, so I'm not going to really go into that. I have also been sitting on this Spellbinders Mirror Gold cardstock, and so I'm going to cut out Mom with that, and maybe even some of these leaves are going to be finding their way here and there. And then I'm not sure if I'm using these yet, but I've grabbed these 12 by 12 sticker packs because of all of these word and phrase sentiments at the bottom. Probably going to be putting those to use as well. Okay, so the next thing that I would suggest in after having gathered what you think you want to be part of your tag mini, is then to have an idea of how you want your patterns to work. So a couple of my tags, I'm using my nested tag dies from ScrapbookCom, a perennial favorite in the studio. Let me tell you, I'm grabbing these dies all the time. It's because I don't know how to cut a corner. That's basically why I use the die. But what's so cool about this is now that I have like these sizes that really work together. So this will be my back pattern. So this is my largest one, but I'm going to be cutting this size out of a couple of the patterns. And then I have some acetate here as well that I can't die cut through my die cut. The acetate just doesn't cut well. So I will be trimming these by hand, but not till after I show you something. So I'm going to cut my tags right now, and then we're going to talk about our cover, and then we'll talk about the acetate. I have now cut out my tags, and a couple of things I want to share about this. Now, I happen to use, because I was using that Brighton 6x8 paper pad, it's a single-sided paper. I think I want to maybe come back in here with just a cardstock. Number one, to kind of give it a little bit more support. And number two, I just think it would look a little nicer because, well, this one won't be, but you have to realize when you're flipping through this, you're seeing the back side, right? So if you like the pattern, you want to add more pattern, that's obviously a great option. If you just want to back it with cardstock, that's an option as well. It's going to be super hard to see here, this acetate, and I don't think I added this to when I was talking about what I was going to add to this album. I don't think I showed you, but I'm using the acetate from ScrapbookCom, and I'm going to talk about that again in a moment as we now kind of segue into how to make this front cover. So let me show you the front cover from the first album of this that I made. So you can see this tiled die cut out of vellum, and it's not backed up. It's just super loose. I don't really actually know how I feel about that, because we could come back in here with acetate just to give it a little bit more structure. You could back it with vellum. It would still, let me see, let me grab a piece of vellum. I'm just curious what this would look like if we backed it with another piece of vellum. You're still seeing the pattern there. It's still very ethereal, which is the whole element I'm going for, but it has just a little bit more support. So that's an option as well. And of course, the option is just to leave it plain. I'm going to show you today how I'm doing this plain, because that's how I have it here. Now notice when I cut this, I used a scrap of vellum, so I didn't cut the whole length of this particular die. I don't need the whole length of it. As a matter of fact, I only need about 6.5 inches, maybe 6.25. Yeah, probably 6.25. And so for that here, that puts us at about right here on our particular. I'm going to go this way. Going to go to 6.25 here. And you can't, my measurements are up here on the top of my working mat. And then so there is the 0 there. And we're just going to carefully cut as even as we can right across there. Okay, then something you really do have to come in here with, and that is a piece of scrap to give this the support it's going to need, so that you can also put I have cut out circle punches as reinforcers, and I've also cut out this piece of paper here that goes over both sides of it that seals it, as well as gives it more support. So I need to then trim out a 2.5, try that again, 3.5 piece paper. So I've cut this little piece of scrap to 4 by about 1.5-ish. And so now it needs to be scored down its middle. So I'm going to go about 1/2 inch and just make it a little bit easier to fold. And then I will put this in place here and trim it. And that's our cover. That's absolutely how you do your cover. I think I'm going to go for this 1/4 inch tape on both sides. I kind of get the impression when you're using this kind of an adhesive instead of, say, maybe a liquid glue, you're then getting yet another level of reinforcement as well. So my suggestion is to use a double-sided adhesive for your cover reinforcer. And so I want to set this here on the table and kind of just put this right up against my fold as evenly as I possibly can get it. And then close that up. And then at this point, you just trim off the excess. I figure it's better to have a little bit more than less. It's just a little bit less frustrating than to try to line it up. And so that is your cover to your tag mini. Okay, so now we probably should have actually done this first, but you know, sometimes this is how it goes for me. I don't always do things in the order that I should do them. So if you're watching this as a whole, maybe make a note to self that if you want to add some texture to your acetate, maybe do that first, because we're going to use the cloud whip, and obviously it has to dry for a few moments anyway, right? So I'm going to keep this fairly simple with the cloud whip. And I'm going to add a little bit to my project mat here. Actually, first, before I do that, I'm going to add this Tattered Rose ink to my surface and then add the cloud whip on top of it. This is going to be a super, very subtle tint, if you will. It's not even going to be a lot of color. Probably could have used a little bit more. And I went back and forth. Should I use the re-inker? But I really don't want for the cloud whip to be any more liquid than it is. I want it to be able to set up in a nice way. So I just try not to make this come out of the frame, but I just added some more ink to the surface. And I might have to get some more here when I do my second one. But it's hard for you to see, but I can see my acetate tag here underneath the stencil. And I'm just doing a real basic stencil application here. Just going over and making sure all of the stencil is filled in. I think it is. And so I'm going to gently lift this up. Yep. Okay. Okay, so let's just gently move this out of the way. We're going to do a little quick cleanup so that we can do the other one. So I don't know if you can tell, but this is no longer just white. It's just got a little bit of color, which I'm going to like that to be part of my my whole tag system, and adding some texture in there is always kind of fun. Okay, so what we're going to do here, going to get a little tricky, and so I don't have to clean up everything, I'm going to place this tag, which is a little smaller than the first one that I did, right here in the middle of all that. And then I have these little mini hearts that I just adore so very much. I'm going to lay that on here. I'm not going to worry about that texture on the other side. This one's a little trickier to see my tag through, but I think it's right there. And these are going to be some pretty tiny little baby hearts. Just a little bit of texture. Hopefully I have that all covered. I do, except for the very bottom, but I'm just going to own it. Pretty sure when my mom gets this as a gift, she's not going to be checking out if the tag is completely textured. All right, so there we go. So I'm going to set this aside and let these dry, and we're going to work on some other things. All right, we have a lot done already. We have our tags all cut. We have reinforcers on them. We have holes cut. We have acetate texture with a little bit of color. Not too much, because you don't want to really take away from all this pattern that's going on, right? And then here's one more of the heart texture acetate tags. I love those so much. I'm going to go back and reinforce some of my reinforcers here because they want to fly away. And then we have the cover, our lattice vellum die cut cover, and it's reinforced as well. Oh, I still need to put a hole in it. But at this point, I am not going to embellish every one of our pages today. And the reason for that is that would be a whole class, because that would take us a lot of time. And I want just to really give you the idea of the structure of what this album is going to look like. So what we will do to finish this up today is we are going to embellish the front. What I'm doing to start is I have cut out a 2-inch piece of paper in a circle with a circle punch, and it is facing the opposite way here. I have the back facing up, but I have another piece, and that's going to sit right here. Now this is going to be home to our clusters. And so as I do add layers to the front of my cover, I will just kind of reiterate what we're doing here. So this is if you followed along with our formula before, which is, you know, it's always subject to be changed. We don't have to totally live within our formula. But this is our ticket part, right? And now this is a, if I am correct, okay, yes, from the papery, this is a sticker. This is from the Brighton papery. So I am looking up here in my stash for a piece of white cardstock that I am going to add this to and then trim it out, because it's just a little too flimsy for me, and I want it to hold up a little bit better to this cover. So I'm just going to trim this out. I have shown you guys on here I back up stickers all the time. This just happens to be a label sticker. I'm actually kind of cleaning up those edges a little bit more because I can go in and cut them. They're a little rounded, and so now I've just kind of squared them up a little bit, which I'm kind of happy how that looks. Okay, so then back with the foam squares again, and deciding where this is going to live here on our cover, and trying to be mindful that, like I've said before, I don't want to completely cover the whole entire back of my embellishment up, because I am going to want to be able to tuck some other elements in there. Now, these are the clear stickers from Brighton, and I think I've just done what I don't want to do. I've made it to where I'm not able to stick too much underneath here, and I haven't quite figured out how much of this I'm going to stick. I might just need the one, and that would go right there. Now, like I said, these are clear stickers. I am leaving it on its backer. I do not want to take it off because I still want it to appear clear. And so I would, you know, I could put it on vellum and trim it. This is just super easy. So I'm just going to use a piece. I'm going to see if this works. I'm going to use it. Yeah, it's going to work. Oh, and I like that, how that kind of goes over there. Oh, yes. Love it when a plan comes together. I get so excited. Okay, and then because this is for my mom, I have cut out of that gold paper from Spellbinders, and this is with the Festive Alpha. That is from ScrapbookCom. And for this, because it's a little tinier, I'm going to grab these small foam squares and see if I can gingerly make this happen. Just trying to add the foam so it doesn't show through on the other side, because that kind of defeats my whole purpose of having this popped up. And let's see what we've got going on here. This one is showing a little bit. I think I might even trim it down. And as I'm doing this, I'm realizing the 1/8 inch adhesive foam strips probably would have been a better approach to this. All right, here we go. I'm starting with the last letter. Oops, let's take off the backers, James. Take off the backers. Take off the backers. Okay, and so this is going to pop right here on the end. I wanted to know where this ends. Ends on the end. Then to decide, does the O go in there flat? Do I let it overlap a little? Decisions. I think I need to trim that a little bit. You just go in there kind of behind it and just snip off the adhesive. It will still stick to your finger. All right, then over here, I'll need to do the same thing. You just snip this off a bit. And except for the title, this is basically how you can go about embellishing each of your tags, is with your cluster technique. Okay, so I've got Mom on there. I'm going to pop these leaves on here, also in the gold. I probably did that one too short because I want this to come back here. There we go. Okay, at this point, I'm just kind of transitioning to what I have finished here. I had a little bit of technical difficulty there, so we're just kind of showing you what is finished on here. And we were finishing up with those little leaves on the back, and I have those in, and that is basically what my cover cluster is going to look like. I will give you a sneak as to what's going on inside here as well. Our next tag, in the order that I put mine, was the acetate textured tag, and I have matted that with some of the Brighton papery and a photo. Everything is popped up with the adhesive foam squares. Have a little bit cut off of that clear sticker, and I had a label here that I then popped up the All Smiles. That's from the Simple Stories. And then this heart, I forgot to show you these. These are so pretty. This is from Fancy Pant Designs, but there's all these gold hearts in here. I mean, it was almost worth it just for the gold hearts, but look at the titles. But let's not get distracted. Let's not get distracted, James. And then I'm just going to continue to do the same thing with all my photos, and just adding what I have, what I showed you, tickets and florals, and that is how you put together this kind of a tag mini. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you found some value in this video, and if you did, I do hope you'll give me a thumbs up. If you don't subscribe, please join our community. All of the supplies are in the description, and as always, I will see you in the next video.